So, welcome everybody. My name is Deborah Milbauer, and aside from being nervous, I also live in the Pine Tree Brook neighborhood area. And I'm not in an elected office. We don't have officers or anything like that. It's all very informal. We have a team of volunteers. So I'm just one of neighbors, and I see neighbors here, and I'm so grateful for the neighbors who are here. And I'm also grateful for our key stakeholders. So, all right.
It's more for Zoom, but yeah.
Okay. All right. I have never been accused of speaking softly. So, so our very cherished community partners. So this whole project, it's called Invasive Species Management and Ecological Restoration. And we're so grateful to the Community Preservation Committee for funding Pine Tree Brook Neighborhood Association to finally tackle problems, especially the knotweed, that neighbors have been complaining about for years, and the Conservation Commission is well aware of. So this is really exciting and really serve as a model for the rest of the town, because there's knotweed in other places. And the other issues I'm going to tell you about in a minute. So the partners are sitting around the table because these 10 acres, right, people have skin in the game. And so after I do a brief introduction and presentation, we're going to go around the table, and each community partner, key stakeholder, is going to say what their interest is in the project and their angle. Because each one of you actually is connected to, maintains, oversees, owns stewardship of this exact 10 acres. So it's not just we're abutters, but there's other people involved in this, obviously. And so I'm really grateful you're here. And so after people go around the table and briefly say, introduce yourself, what your board does, and what your interest angle in the project is. What I'd like to do is open it up to neighbors and folks in the community to introduce yourselves and say your interest in the project and your comment or question. And then we will alternate with folks on Zoom. And I see, so John Kiernan is the chair of the Conservation Commission, who is one of our key stakeholders, but he is online. So John, we will include you when the time is right. So.
All right, thank you.
Okay. So, so the Department of Public Works maintains the land, right? They mow, they take away down trees, and they do the garbage cans, which is a godsend. And then neighbors actually, every day, I know, also pick up garbage as they walk the path every day. So it's a group effort. And we have Cassie Calabro, is that right? She's the environmental coordinator for the town in the Department of Public Works. So they play a really important role in the land. And then Lauren and Alex, where are you, are from Sustainable Milton, and they're a local nonprofit neighbors, and a local nonprofit who has agreed to be our fiscal conduit, actually, because Pine Tree Brook is not a nonprofit. And so we are so grateful for them. And I know this is like a new thing for them as well.
Speak up.
Oh, sorry, I know this is a new thing for them as well. So I'm really grateful we're embarking on this adventure together. And then importantly, Neponset River Watershed Association, really, they do ecological monitoring, and they are really important to tracking water quality and all of that. And I'm gonna let Karen Horan, who is the community liaison, right?
Community engagement strategy.
Yeah, so y'all introduce yourself. And so her role is really important as well. And Tom Palmer, and Pete Jackson. And I'm not missing anybody online. Sits on the Conservation Commission, and they actually are an appointed town committee that oversees the conservation land and makes sure that the Wetlands Protection Act is being followed, and they are stewards of the land and owners technically, although they don't have the budget for it. But shout out to them. So I'm really glad they're here to represent. And then importantly, Josh Wilson from Biohabitats is our consultant, and he's going to present after I do an overview of the project and their role and what their plans are. And then importantly, Tom Callahan, and anyone else here, or just you from
Pete.
Pete Jackson's.
Pete. Oh, I didn't mean Conservation Commission. I'm sorry. I told you I was nervous. So sorry, the two of them sit on the CPA committee, and they were the ones that awarded Pine Tree Brook the funding to do this project. And so I'm really glad you're here as well. Okay, who did I miss? Did I get everyone? All right, so okay. So just a quick overview of our neighborhood. So Pine Tree Brook Neighborhood Association was probably started, what, 25, 30 years ago?
30, 40 years
Nick
ago.
Runnell and some other folks no longer with us. And it's about 600 homes on either side of the brook. It's super roughly speaking. Sometimes it just has to do with how much money we have to print flyers and how many streets we do. So it's really roughly defined. It's just anyone in the area. So the land that we're talking about is also very roughly, it's about 10 acres. We don't have an exact line. We're going to show you maps of the area momentarily. And it's really a treasure. I can't tell you, I go there and it's like medicine, because we're a mile from Madigan Square. We're like on the border with a very urban neighborhood on one side, urban setting. And our neighborhood itself, the houses are very close together. It's a very dense neighborhood, which I love, actually, because you build community, you get to know everybody. It's great. And we have neighbors here. Oh, I didn't.
No.
Okay.
Totally unqualified tech support here.
And Shane from the Laxis CB, who is also helping me gratefully with the tech. So it's just a really special, literally a couple of blocks from our homes is this incredible little slice of woods. It's wetlands and there's a lot of wildlife and flowers and plants. There's actually a unique species of trout only found in Pine Tree Brook. It's cold water fishery. And so it's really a special place, and I don't think people realize that. And so I treasure it, and I'm there all the time walking around. So the Brook Paths are used by dozens and dozens of people every day. I mean, I don't know if hundreds is an exaggeration, because students, the kids in the morning and in the afternoon, they actually use the path to get to the high school and to Pierce. Like, it's actually, if you're there when the kids come in the morning, in the afternoon, it's like a flood, and then they disappear. And then obviously people, you all, I know you all also, several of you here, use the pass. And Jeff Stone is especially interested, and I'll give you a chance later to say about your wonderful project. And so it's really heavily utilized, which is both a blessing and a burden, right? Because we also have to maintain the path and the land. And joggers and, families with strollers and little kids on their bikes. And so it connects Pierce, the middle school, and the high schools. And for those of you, obviously, you know the neighborhood neighborhoods and we'll show the maps again. It's really centrally located in some way. The Blue Hills Parkway, that entire neighborhood on the other side where Tom lives. A lot of people and Jeff lives on the other side of Pope's Pond, and the whole area where Pierce is, like, it's really this connecting area actually, and you don't realize it, but you can see in the morning students walking up. So it's very unique, and I don't think a lot of people outside of the area or students sort of appreciate or know. And all the new neighbors that move in, I'm always like, wait, do you know about the path? And they're saying no, and I tell them. And amazingly, it connects to Pope's Pond. So if you cross over the Blue Hills Parkway, as we'll show you on the map, 5 minutes in, it's like New Hampshire. It is incredible. And the CPA also funded this amazing project to complete the loop, around Pope's Pond, because right now you can't do a full loop. So that's really, really exciting. And there's another project they funded, which is building a playground for Sumner and the neighborhood on the other side. Peverly Park. There's a little spot of grass, a little park that's underutilized. And that side of town really is under-resourced with playgrounds and parks and access to those kind of resources. So we're just thrilled. Yeah.
If you're planning on putting up maps, maybe it would be helpful to see them now.
Yeah. Okay. But that will trip me up tech-wise. So I'm going to hold on. Not going to lie. And I'm almost done. So
I make one other point.
Yes.
Environmental justice community.
Yes. And actually on the EPA maps, based on socioeconomic status and race ethnicity, there are neighborhoods defined as environmental justice neighborhoods, meaning have equal access to resources and make sure that those neighborhoods and communities aren't differentially exposed and burdened to pollutants or toxins, and that they have access to green space. So there's a whole wonderful, thank you, Karen. I really appreciate you saying that. So the paths encourage walkers. They keep cars off the road, which I know the Climate Change Resilience Committee, which I butchered the name, is very interested in, and which Alex also sits on. It promotes exercise. I walk so much in a way that I would absolutely never do if those paths weren't there. My street, I live on Winthrop Street, which dead ends. It's the very first, the path starts at Winthrop Street on the non-high school side, on the Audubon side. So promotes exercise and it builds community. I can't tell you how many people I chat with, which, if you know me, that's no shock, but it really builds community. And I met so many people I would never have otherwise met. And so there's so many reasons I cherish the space and why personally I took the initiative to take this on, to be totally honest. So 11 streets dead end into the path on either side of the Brook. 11. Literally, and you can think about fertilizer that runs off and pollutants when it rains, the Neponset River Watershed Association issues report cards on the quality of the water, and they have said that when it rains, it degrades wait, let me see where I wrote that. When it's raining, the grade that they give, like A, B, C, D, drops 22% due to polluted rain runoff. And so NEPRA plays a really important role in helping us track that and understand, like, literally what pollutants are going in. And a piece of that is education for the neighbors. Right, what not to put on your lawn and your car emissions runoff, like everything that you put on your ground, it's a watershed, right? All things go in at some point. So, sorry, I'm skipping around a little bit. So this is a 1-year planning grant. No intervention or action is going to happen this year. This is just measuring sort of what the status is of the site, and that's what Josh is going to go into like exactly what that looks like and what that means. And so I know some people, right, like we're not going to assign DPW anything without their input and collaboration. That's why you're around the table. This is a collaborative process. We're going to talk about what needs to be done and what the recommendations are. And then we can talk about, all right, who can do what the capacity is. So this is an absolutely collaborative process. Pine Tree Brook isn't going to do anything without complete collaboration. So what's the motivation for the project? Japanese knotwood is of grave concern to the neighbors. It's very fast growing. It's taken over the brook in just a few short years. I'm going to show you photos. It's choking out all the natives, which serve a really important ecological purpose. It's changing the ecology of the land. I don't think people realize that. And if it jumps the path into the neighbors' yards, it's going to impact property values. In England, and I think this is accurate, you actually can't sell your home if you have Japanese knotwood on the property. I mean, it's really serious, and I might need to be fact-checked, but I think that's the case.
You couldn't get insurance.
You couldn't get insurance. Thank you for fact-checking. Susan, my trusted fact-checker. Thank you. Yeah.
Wrong.
No. I think
no, it's not.
Yeah. No, I looked it up when I was writing the proposal. Okay. So here's the thing. Japanese knotweed, and there's other invasives there, but it's just Japanese knotweed is the biggest. Knotweed cannot be fully eliminated. We know that. Everyone knows that. You could get goats, you could do pesticide, right? You can burn it, but obviously we can't do any of those things. It's conservation land. Although Josh is going to identify actually what can be done and what our choices are, because we do have choices. But the thing is managing and tamping it down requires multi-year strategic intervention. You don't just do something once. It's over time, and then after like a 3-year thing, and then you can like maintain it. And we need to figure out who's going to do that, what's it going to look like, does it require funding? Josh will also, Biohabitats will also help us identify funding if we need any. So it's really an exciting project. And I feel like it can serve as a model for other parts of town, as I said earlier. So other folks are interested in this. I sat in on one of the Conservation Commission meetings, and there was a random neighbor who who doesn't necessarily attend, not from our neighborhood, from a different part of town. I don't know if you remember this, Tom, or if you were on that call, but they were very concerned about Japanese knotwood and asked the Conservation Commission, what are you doing about it? What's the town doing about it? Is anyone doing anything about it? And so there's really an interest across town, not just for our neighborhood. So the other reasons, and the title of the project is called Invasive Species Management and, because there's a second part, Ecological Restoration Strategic Planning. So the other pieces are flooding and erosion. So the homes literally sit right on the brook. If you've ever walked the path, literally the homes are right there. Like their yards above the brook, literally above the path. And we know with climate change, everything's changing. And so the FEMA flood maps literally predict that area is going to flood, 50 years, 100 years. And NEPRA has all that data, which is really great. They just issued a report, 2024. It's like hot off the press. So, okay. So there's that. There's runoff, as I already mentioned, 11 streets dead end into the brook. There's pollution, fertilizers, cars. And there's bioretention cells, which are these holes in the ground that filter out toxins before they run into the brook. And we have 3 and we have 11 streets. One of which is totally bare and the kids use as a bike ramp, right? Like a bike pit. And it's fabulous for them, builds community, but terrible for the environment. And then I said when it's raining, the pollutants run in. And so those bioretention cells play a really important role. And the other 2 bioretention cells are knotweed in them, which NEPRA also told me degrades the efficiency of that filtering process. So neighbors take great pride in our little neck of the woods. We have this amazing annual cleanup that a lot of you have been to, tons and tons of bags of trash. and recycling. Over the years, we've pulled out bicycles and tables and, and lots of drug and alcohol paraphernalia and
Baseball.
baseballs, tires, signs. I mean, the good news is every year we do this, there's less and less. So that's kind of good news. An iron statue of a horse. I don't know who still has that. I mean, a steak. What? A blue bike. A safe box with money in it that I think was stolen during one of the football games. And then they couldn't open it. I have a lot of fun pictures if anyone's interested.
Where'd the money go to?
Nobody could open it. We gave it back to the boosters, whoever it was. Okay, so just a couple more things and then I'm going to hand it off to Josh. So when we submitted the proposal, we circulated in addition to letters of support from all of our key stakeholders, we circulated what do they call that? Like a surveys? No.
Sign up.
Like
Petition,
a
endorsement.
petition, thank you. And we had over 100 neighbors, maybe 150, immediately sign it to say they support the project and they'll be willing to help whatever ends up being our plan moving forward. And so there is so much interest in this and everyone has their own angle. And so I am going to read you a quick blurb from the proposal. I'm going to show you some photos and then hand it over. So the study's mission is to improve the integrity and ensure long-term resilience of the site and protect the land for generations to come. The purpose of the vision plan is to identify, and I know you're going to go into this. The purpose of the identity is to identify opportunities for Pine Tree Brook Neighbor Association to improve ecological integrity, water quality, reduce erosion, improve long-term resilience, and ensure continued access to the site. This approach will allow biohabitats to form a high-level review of the site and its place along the surrounding stream corridor and begin to provide an initial vision for open space planning. So there you go. I'm going to show you a couple of quick photos, not of the map. I'll leave that to you. I know. Shane's like,
Oh, this is the easiest one. You just pushed out.
oh, great. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, all right. Margaret, why don't you advance it, but not let that escape thing. Okay. So just to show you, this is on the Audubon side of the path. We do have trees that fall over the path sometimes, and DPW comes and they help us, manage the safety and all that, as you can see. Next slide. There's a lot of duplicates. So this is the other side of that view. This is Winthrop Street where I live. As you can see, this is somebody's trampoline. Like the houses literally are on the path. And then this is the brook right here. You can see water a little peeking through. Next slide. Oh, by the way, I took all these photos yesterday, so it's very lush. Okay. This is one of the streets. I think this is actually Grove Street. Look, you can see how close. And this is the path, and this is the brook. Next slide. So more of the same. Next slide. So this is Grove still, I think, and this is the bioretention cell. It's hard to see from this angle, and these are the bike ramps. You can see. Next slide. I shouldn't be touching this. Okay, so you can see a little bit better the bike ramps here. And then, and you can see it's relatively bare. This is the most lush I've seen it. Usually during the year, it's actually, and it's just dirt. And this is the brook. Next slide. So this is right where the bridge is behind the high school, Guile Road Bridge. And again, DPW maintains the trash barrels. You can see it's freshly, a fresh, usually there's a lid on it. I don't know what happens. But, and this is the Japanese knotweed. Knotweed. Japanese knotweed. And you can see it's on both sides. And this is someone's home. And this is a bioretention cell here, one of the three. And it's filled with Japanese knotweed. And this is someone's home right there. So I think, I'm not even sure if it's in his yard yet, but all right, next slide. This is right right before the bridge on the Audubon side, right, I think it's Mar Meager, I think that's the dead end street that's there. This is the knotweed. And it's very lush, so it's literally squeezing in the path. And normally during the year, off season, so to speak, it's not that cramped. Next slide. More views, go on. So that's the bridge, and that's the high school right there. So you can see, easy access to, Parkway Crescent and Mar, Meager, whatever you say.
Mar, yeah, Mar.
Revere and Rove and Gibbons and Milton. So, okay, next slide. This is the other side of the brook. This is on the high school side, right next to the bridge. I came off the bridge and I turned left. And this is all Japanese knotweed. Next slide. Next slide. So just showing you, this is the high school side and this is the brook and this is the knotweed. Next slide. Knotweed, next slide. So halfway along the brook path is a little cut through to the high school. It's actually I think it's Donovan, where the little league baseball, where the little kids play. So there's sort of a little bit of cut. This is a little cut through. And again, the knotweed is encroaching. Next slide. Just more pictures of my absolute favorite place on earth. I think that's not true, but my happy place. Okay, so this is you can see the street here. This is one of the outfall pipes, is that what you call it? One of the outfall pipes, and you could see literally all the contaminants from the street go literally directly into the brook. That's why when it rains, it degrades by 22% with pollutants. Next slide. Just to show you Winthrop Street, that how close the houses are. Next slide. Almost done. Just to show you sort of the land. The trees have a normal lifespan. And I don't think conservation land, you can mess with it. I think you leave whatever has fallen. But again, I need to be fact checked on that. Next slide. This is actually on the Thatcher side. So if, Manning Lane, there's the brook goes through, and this is, next slide, you'll see what I mean. It was dry yesterday. I was shocked. Next slide.
Not anymore.
Right. Exactly. Again, this is a visual. Again, knotweed over here. Next slide. So this is on the way to Thatcher now. And so this whole land is the parkway. I meant to take a picture of the parkway side. The parkway to Thatcher. That's really kind of roughly speaking. Next slide. More of the same. Next slide. So this is the entrance to Thatcher. Next slide. So you might recognize that Thatcher, and you might have passed it a million times and seen it or not seen it. All right, I think that's the last one.
Yep.
So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Josh. We're going to switch to his slides, and there you go.
I don't know if you wanted to go around and after my talk.
No, do you do first, and then the part.
Yeah.
Where's the nose?
11. Great.
Where's the stop share?
You have to go. Nope.
Oh,
Yes.
I know how to
There we go. Sometimes you just hit escape 3 times, but that's the secret.
Got it.
I'm gonna head out, but just let you guys know when you need to stop sharing, I have to just hit it once.
Okay.
And then please just leave this over there. I carry it.
Okay. It's not open. Is it open already?
This one right here, please.
Spans for wash here, I think.
Then
There we
do
go.
is go to the first. I can.
Okay, we're not.
This again. Yes. There it is. How do you hide that?
yeah. Hi.
It'll just go away.
Oh, perfect.
I
I've
think
been doing this for 5 years and I still forget this.
it's all advanced.
Okay. Thank you so much. So go for it.
So thanks, Deborah. So yeah, my name is Josh Wilson. I am a senior restoration ecologist with Biohabitats. I'm also a professional wetland scientist, and been doing wetland delineations, assessment. That's sort of where my career started, and then but also got into ecological restoration projects, and everything from stream bank restoration to wetland creation, wetland restoration. Type of work, both coastal and inland. So wide variety of different types of habitats and that type of stuff. But really it always comes back to the water for me, right? So wetlands are that nice area between the open water and the upland areas. Some people think they're less nice because of mosquitoes, but we can have that debate another time. Side piece. So my title is Open Space Resilience Planning. It's a vision plan. That's sort of the larger way. Deborah's is a mouthful, and I didn't memorize it. So I think it's easier. This encompasses a lot of what we're going to do in terms of open space vision planning. Like she said, we're going to get to a place where we identify the conditions at the site.
If you like your slides, we would.
Oh, you didn't see my slides. I was looking at my slides in the background. Thank you. We're working towards not just open planning, space planning for the vision, what the community wants to see in the situation, but also how do we manage invasive species on site? How do we manage for future climate change and flooding on the site? Well, all of these things are interrelated in how the site currently exists and what we might need to do in the future in order to manage it, managing water quality, managing habitat, all of that. So who are we? Biohabitats. Biohabitats is a company of about 40 years. We've been in business, and I've been in business about 40 years. And we are a group of landscape architects, engineers, biologists, ecologists, hydrologists, soil scientists. We a wide, diverse range of professionals in the field. We do everything from conservation planning to ecological restoration to regenerative design. So in some cases, we do water treatment and reuse of gray water type reuse type of stuff. Really, we envision a world where the Earth's complex systems are working together with the community systems that are there and with our surroundings. So really, our motto is restore the Earth and inspire ecological stewardship. And we really try to live that every day. We're a learning company, so we're always looking for innovative ideas and ways to use what's being evaluated and tested in the more academic realm and bring it to fruition into the as a practice, in a regular practice. So the next slide, please. So I think these are the three CPA open space goals. And I think this is what Deborah rattled off, which is expand and preserve, restore open space for community, improve benefits, use particularly along current and future trails, paths, river frontages, conservation land and ponds. The second is to preserve wild and natural areas. And then the third is to support resiliency and protect neighborhoods by expanding resources and mitigate impacts of flooding and climate change. And to this end, how will we intended to, yes, not behaving. There we go. This is even more words, which is this is a fail, right? In presentations, you don't want to put these many words in a presentation. So I'm not expecting everybody to read it. The guess is that we're trying to do exactly what the goals were, right? We want to have some strategic planning largely around invasive species management, but also some ecological restoration. They kind of go hand in hand in that sense. We want to identify invasive knotweeds, bring back natives into the system, which then improve ecological habitat or provide ecological uplift, also water quality improvements. And then lastly, with the expectation that these areas are more prone to flooding and may become more prone to flooding with climate change, really trying to identify opportunities to manage that in a way that's both ecologically and societally beneficial. And looking at ways of doing that. For example, the retention basins are a great idea, but if they're full of vegetation and especially trees and larger, and knotweed, it's really they may not be doing everything that they can. They're also, but if you can introduce more diverse assemblage of plants, then you're also providing both the ecological value as well as the stormwater benefits to it. So this is the steps that we're going to do in this project, and how we like to support this is really, it's really a combination of reviewing what information is out there, what exists, and talking to you all as stakeholders. This is a partnership in this process. We don't say that we know what's going on here, and what is important to you all, because you all know what's important in this particular habitat. What we bring to the table is our understanding of the ecology, and the relationship between hydrology and the ecology and the plant systems and everything like that. We look to you all to say, how do you prioritize those things? What are your priorities in these? But to do that, first, we need to understand what's going on the site. And we often do that through a discovery process, which is also an ecological and site characterization process. And so in that case, we'll be relying upon information that has been collected by the town, collected by the Ponce River Watershed Association, or any other groups that might have information about the area. We'll also conduct a site walk and do a rapid ecological assessment, evaluating notable ecological habitats, extensive in identifying invasive species. Well, knotweed is one of the big ones. I'm sure there are others within the watershed. I think I might have seen some multiflora rose, might have seen some Norway maples, which are not really invasive, but are invasive. So we can have that discussion. But then also doing, evaluating some of the information from you all, taking notes during this meeting, hearing what you have to say about the site, any observations that you have, anecdotal observations, as well as information that's been documented in the system, and then collecting representative photos. All this sort of comes together, and these are a couple projects where where we're working on. One is this one larger image is an area in coastal Connecticut that we were working on, where we basically identified the major ecological habitat zones, and then this is taken to the public and the stakeholders and discussed with you all and say, these are the zones, and these are likely things that we can do in these areas, or how we want to encourage ecological uplift, and manage those areas in accordance with what the expectation for the property is. And next slide. So then once we've sort of gathered the information, we draft a vision plan. This does come from our head, but it comes from the initial conversations we've had with you all. We start to say, okay, what are the priorities? Where do we want to focus? How do we want to make connections between areas? For example, if there are connections between Oak Pond, is that right? To the south. Is that south? I'm trying to get my bearings. So I was trying to get my bearings. It's more east. Yeah, but upstream, right? The upstream, Oak Pond, and the rest of the neighborhoods downstream along Pine Brook. But also, how does that relate? Talking about, if we're going to talk about invasive species, we do talk about how those invasive species exist on the site, but how do they get there? Part of the reason it's likely that there is Japanese knotweed in this area is this is probably not a regular floodplain, but a floodplain area nonetheless. It probably floods periodically, and on those floodwaters, a lot of seeds often are dropped, material is dropped into the soil, and the soils, as Deborah's photos were showing, it's sort of not entirely a strong leaf litter duff layer. It's probably flushed out of there periodically, and so it's more soil. So there's more soil to plant contact, and the plants grow more rapidly, and spread more rapidly than the natives can. So understanding how the flow from the river affects establishment of the invasives, and also can move them downstream. And then really trying to develop a memo that summarizes our understanding of what it takes to take these visions, take these ideas of how to manage the site and move them forward in a cost as well as a process base going forward. We take this back to you all as stakeholders, get your feedback, and then refine it to sort of a final version of sort of that vision of what that vision plan is. Kind of like another way of saying is a master plan, right? So doing that type of work, and we work through that. A lot of it's graphical, more graphical and less narrative. There are narrative parts, but I think that we sort of balance the two, because I think that people, we want to try to cater to both the visual people and the textual people. So we write our reports in that sort of way. So again, just other examples of this is Brooklyn Botanic Garden up here. We're working on that project, and just identifying, this balance between, in that one, we were looking at a balance between collections, which is Botanic Gardens usually working with the idea of horticultural collections versus native communities. And so trying to just discuss that balance. And so for park down here that we were working on in New Jersey, we're trying to connect different natural zones with used zones. So there may be more natural areas like this. There's a salt marsh area over here, but we want to be able to connect it to some of the more park areas. So trying to make that balance between in those connections there. So I think that was the last slide for what we're going to do and how we're going to, our process in this. But I think that the last slide is sort of maybe a good segue to the conversation. These are sort of the general questions that we would ask you all as stakeholders and maybe put out there for people to sort of keep in mind. I think Deborah and I were talking about developing a Google form or a questionnaire type of thing to allow people to answer these questions offline that we don't expect everybody to have an answer now, that type of stuff, but at least to be able to answer them, and some of the things to consider as we're starting to work through this process.
Can I just walk people through this briefly?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is, yeah. And this may not be, this is just for Pine Brook. Pine Tree Brook. I didn't include the path that goes out here, which I know is part of the overall, but I'll be speak to that.
Just very quickly, because I really want to go around the table. So this is the high school. This is Brooks Field. This is Guile Road. The back entrance pops out onto the parkway. So this is the parkway. And so this is Winthrop Street. I was telling you it's the path starts on this side. So the brook and the path. So this one, where's the brook?
Starts up where it says talking, I believe.
Yeah.
There.
Thatcher right there.
Thatcher's there.
Thank you. So the brook goes this way, and then there's paths on both sides. Coming from Thatcher, it's a little tricky to find, but then it is right. And then there's paths on both sides. And you can see here, this is very densely populated. And then on the other side is Elm and Gulliver. And this one.
Wendell Park.
Thank you, Wendell Park. And there's that's the brook, the stream that goes into where I showed you where it was dry. And then this is Thatcher. So really it's like Blue Hills to Thatcher. Now, if you continue, the brook path continues to Pope's Pond, which is over here, but we're just looking at the land between the parkway and Thatcher, roughly speaking. And we're not doing anything over here because the town has got a whole other project going on with the school and all of that. So I'm not just this little slice. Although we're going to walk the site and talk about the other little pieces that are here, because I wanted to sort of check in around the full site. Okay, I'm going to stop there. So that's just sort of to orient you what we're talking about. Okay, do you want to say anything else?
No, I don't. I think that what's important for us to understand is what information is out there. What's been done with the site. Whether it's the construction of the I'm not calling them detention basins, but the basins, to what Neponset has done, River Watershed has done on these. This is a tributary. So I think that just understanding, I'd like to know what that is. I can set up I can set up a let's say a Dropbox, but basically a folder online for people if you want to provide your email, and you can upload those documents in, and they'll be part of our review.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think I'd like to hear what other people have to say. Yeah.
So my intent is get through everyone and the audience. So let's see if we can do this in the time that we have. Thank you. That was great. Thank you, Bob. Really, really appreciate it. I'm so excited to be working with them. Okay, why don't we start with Tom, just to get it out of the way, because he was very clear they're just the funder and not really actively part of the project, but I want to give context, so we'll start with Tom.
Sure. So I'm a member of the Community Preservation Committee, as Deborah said. We raise through your surcharge on your property taxes, about $1 million a year for three purposes: affordable housing, open space and recreation. The second purpose is historic preservation. So we are, I think, just entering our fourth year of being able to fund various deserving projects around town, and we were pleased to award Sustainable Milton is technically the recipient because of the 501c3 for this project. It, as you pointed out,
A little louder.
fits in with the goals of CPA, and we like to fund these projects and watch the benefits multiply to Milton residents. So I would also say, without my CPA hat on, I'm a resident of this area and an active user of this path. So thank you.
Lauren, and I'm Borowski, but I don't want to skewer your last name. Is that?
Yes, that's
There we go.
Lauren Borowski. I'm representing Sustainable Milton. We're excited to be included in this project. Our primary goal is, as you mentioned, the fiscal conduit, which is our sponsor. So, which is not something that we're familiar with, but we're working and excited to be able to help Pine Tree Brook and all of this community. I actually personally found this really exciting because I've been watching a Japanese knotwood project in Vermont that's been very expansive a lot in more in Vermont, and I've been watching the project in these areas where we swim, and the knotweed is unbelievable, and watching what they do is it's daunting. It's a daunting task. So I'm excited that we're addressing this and Sustainable Milton's mission is to help the community. Part of our mission is to preserve the ecosystem. So I think this project will be important for that. And I'll let Alex touch more on the planning process for the climate action plan and resiliency part.
Thank you so much. And just speak up a little louder. This is the only microphone we have. So go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cassandra. I'm the environmental coordinator for the town. I recently started with the town 6 months ago, so I'm here representing the DPW. Our stake in the game is, like Deborah said at the beginning, we do general maintenance of the Pine Tree Brook. So we mow, trim, all that stuff. We also maintain the 3 bioretention cells on site. And I think, as we all know now, they're not in the greatest shape. So I'm really excited that this project's coming about around the same time that we're in the state of those cells. So I'm really hoping to see what Biohabitat's recommendations are. That way, through the DPW, we can see what we can move forward towards and what you guys recommend. So I'm really excited for that. And then I think it would be really cool to learn more about the current state. I mean, we all know that the Japanese knotweed is there, but I'm really interested to learn what other invasive species are present there as well. So very excited to collab on this project.
I'm so excited. Can you pass me? Okay. And Karen Horan, who actually used to be a neighbor in literally like stone's throw from the path in the brook. So Karen, go ahead.
Yes, Kara Gross-Horan, and I am community engagement strategist at the Ponset River Watershed, as well as former resident, and all of my community work really is in Milton, Courageous Conversations for Social Justice. So this all just fit very well with, the loves and passions that I have, and the work that NEPR is doing, as we look at our participation in a municipal vulnerability preparedness grant. We looked at the whole region. What are do the flood modeling now that we've been in 3 years of study, and this is one of the critical areas of concern. And as we look kind of throughout the watershed, we are looking at what kind of green and gray infrastructure can be implemented in this very region to lessen the severity of impact over, the coming years, because it does look serious. And, the priorities, where are elderly living? Where are the schools? Where are the environmental justice populations? And that's why this area really is a focus. That we were just doing that modeling recently, and talking about all the things that impact this area. So not only that, I think that this serves as a model for the whole watershed, and other invasives are of critical impact throughout the watershed. So maybe this is really a great highlight of how other communities can get involved in doing this type of work. So thank you so much.
Me?
You can just.
Oh, okay. Hi. Margaret Carrolls. My street dead ends on the Brook. I'm 3 houses from the Brook, and I've watched the Japanese knotweed go from 0 to 100 in the past 25 years. But I just want to note, like, it was about 15 years ago where a certain department in town, not represented here, and I won't throw them under the bus, clear cut near the bridge. And what comes back is the knotweed. I mean, it wasn't there before, but it's very clear, like where it kind of grows, Anyway, so I think every year I go online and say, have they solved the Japanese knotweed problem? Every year the answer is no. So thank you, Deborah, for pulling this together.
Okay, Alex serves on 2 committees, so I'm excited he's in dual roles. So go ahead.
So I'm Alex Hasha. I am the Vice President of Sustainable Milton. So here in our role as a fiscal conduit. And I'm also the chair of the Climate Action Planning Committee, which is a select board advisory committee that has been working for 2 years to make a comprehensive plan from now until 2050 to eliminate greenhouse gas emissions in alignment with Massachusetts goals for net zero by 2050, but also in the scope of our planning is adaptation and resilience to growing climate risks. So very interested in sort of learning from this project because I'm not an ecologist by training, so I don't interested in learning what goes into restoring and maintaining valuable open space. As everyone else here, and certainly the recommendations from this work will make their way into Milton's climate action plan. So very excited to be part of this.
Thank you.
And Tom.
Hi, I'm Tom Palmer. I'm a Milton resident. I live across the parkway, but I often visit this area. I'm familiar with it. I'm a naturalist and a photographer, botanist. I remember Dick Russell, the former head.
Say what board you sit on.
I'm on the Conservation Commission. I'm a former employee of NEPRA. I'm a NEPRA water sampler. In fact, I sampled the brook at the parkway yesterday at about 7 a.m. Something I noticed was I had gone to 6 spots around town, including Unquity Brook and the main stem deposit. I sampled for dissolved oxygen. At the parkway, the numbers for dissolved oxygen were much, much lower than elsewhere around town, about 23–25%, whereas at Adams Street on the main stem of the river, it was up around 90 plus. Unquity Brook, up above 80, I believe, if I recall. Why is there so little oxygen in Pine Tree Brook when it crosses under the parkway? I think it has to do with Pope's Pond. Pope's, like this portion of the brook, is a creation. The portion of the brook we're talking about is straight. That's very unusual for a brook in Massachusetts. It's also lined with concrete. You can walk up and down it now when the flow is low. You won't hardly get your feet wet because the bottom is so hard. The banks are steep and they're riprap. Why is a brook like that? I think it was pushed to the side when this whole neighborhood was developed in the 1920s. That's when all these streets went in. And how much of that area was wetland? I don't know, but it's all flat now, which is very unusual in New England. Another sign that this is an altered area. Why is there a trail on the far side of the brook from the homes? Because there's a line of fill there that covers a major sewer pipe. I don't think it's a town-owned pipe. I think it's a NWRA trunk sewer. And that's why near the parkway, on certain days and certain weathers, there's a really acrid state there where it comes out of that manhole. At any rate, this area is serving a lot of purposes already before we talk about ecological services. I would say public access to the neighbors is also an ecological service. It's something that we all value and enjoy. Dick Russell had photos of him in a boat rescuing people from this area in Hurricane Diane in August 1955. That was a flood record for the area. And that kind of changed the history of the area, because after that, it was realized that when this neighborhood was developed, it wasn't taken into consideration that Pine Tree Brook drains 2/3 of the north slope of the Blue Hills, which is a large area. And the Blue Hills is rocky, so when the rain hits it, it comes down quickly. So the people that developed the area didn't realize that when the stream got narrow, all the water was going to come out of the brook. And that's why Dick had to rescue those people in his boat. So what changed between then and now? The flood storage dam was built at Unquity and Harlan. I think you all know that place, a big berm along Unquity Road that travels on to Harlan, and that keeps floodwaters from the Blue Hills back from this neighborhood during big storms. And if you've looked at that dam closely, you may have seen the big tray-shaped place where the water should plunge in if it gets high enough. And then there's an orifice at the front end of that where it goes through that. In my 30 years in town, the water has never come over into that tray. In fact, it's never gotten in within a foot of it. So I would say that dam is doing its job for this neighborhood. But when I got to know Dick, it was because the town wanted to build a soccer field right across the brook. And that's the same area now proposed for a school, I think. At any rate, the neighborhood did not want that to happen, at least Dick's friends. And so the reason they were so sensitive about it was not only did they enjoy having the woods and the natural area across the brook from them, but they believed that they were very vulnerable to flooding. And the type of flooding that they were concerned about was not water coming over the banks of the brook into the yards, but the water that came up the walls of their basement from the groundwater. And that is still a problem, and that will remain a problem. And one way to make sure it's as minimized as possible is to make sure that the brook can carry the water out of the neighborhood. And knotweed interferes with that, because knotweed grows up the banks of the brook and means when a flood comes, there's less room for the water to pass. So that's one reason to get rid of knotweed. And I like the fact that this project is about management and vegetation management, because you can get a lot of improvement with that kind of work, not only in flood control, but in public access and aesthetics and so forth. But I would like to emphasize that as a botanist, I know what plants belong and what don't. I know that most of that area is not knotweed. Most of that area is tree. And the treed area is a maple swamp, which is the most common wetland type in the whole state, I would guess. And if you go into that wooded area across a brook, once you get under the trees, there are no invasives, or very little. And that's most of the area. And why are there no invasives? Because they're suppressed by the intact maple canopy. And the knotweed, if you walk up and down there, is confined to specific areas. And generally speaking, they're areas that are sunny. I have tried to get rid of knotweed in a couple of places, and The only reason I succeeded a little bit was when I was cutting it, there were other things coming up and they eventually shaded it out. So I would just say, not getting rid of knotweed is not only about getting rid of it, but creating conditions where other things will grow in and prevent it from coming back.
This is so rich and amazing, but I'm gonna stop.
I'm
you.
done.
Honestly, this is amazing. I want to introduce John Kiernan. I'm putting you on the spot. He's the chair of the Conservation Commission, and I want to give you an opportunity to say something.
Oh, sure. Thank you very much. And I'll be very brief. First, I guess, and foremost is that the Conservation Commission enthusiastically supports the program. We passed a resolution supporting the application of the CPC, and we thank the CPC for providing funds to do this. Invasive species is a big issue for us. I think one of the speakers mentioned that it's all over the town, and it has infected many of the projects that we permitted, and we usually have special conditions that goes along with at least attempts to, if not eliminate or eradicate, at least to limit the existence of Japanese knotweed on site and certainly the spread. So it's a high priority for us. The second thing, and I can't see if Jeff Stone is with you, but the Conservation Commission is now trying to coordinate or participate in coordinating a number of different projects. This is central to Jeff Stone's Milton Brook Walk, and he can speak directly to that. But we're trying to connect a number of pathways, not just this 10-acre section between essentially from the Thatcher Street to, I know it's actually, further, it's actually Central Ave perhaps, to the Parkway. But right now we're trying to coordinate that pathway with the pathway surrounding Pope's Pond and Peverly Park, because the CPC has been gracious enough to fund the Peverly Park. That's a 4-acre piece of the Pope's Pond area. So they've got a pathway system inside that 4 acres surrounding the playground equipment. The Conservation Commission is trying to tie that to another CPC project that will close the loop around, actually there are 2 projects to close the loop surrounding Pope's Pond. So this area that we've seen, sketches and overhead photos of will connect to the Pope's Pond area. And by including the pathway through the Peverly Park playground and completely surrounding Pope's Pond. And then there's another big project also funded both by DPW and the CPC. We're trying to put in a bridge to go over Pine Tree Brook, a pedestrian bridge at the south end. That's the Canton Avenue side of Pope's Pond. So when all of these projects come together, we'll be able to, I always use the word circumnavigate, and people say, no, it's circumambulate Pope's Pond. So by adding that second bridge, we'll be able to complete the loop. And then there's an additional CPC project to make that circumambulation pathway around Pope's Pond handicapped accessible, just as the Turner's Pond one is. So that there are a lot of projects there's a confluence of projects time-wise. All of that is coming together right now. And Jeff, if you're there, we're trying to set up a meeting with Bill Madden with the Peverly Park Group so that we can coordinate all of these projects. And it's very important to us, the Conservation Commission, to get this pathway that Deborah has led the charge on cleaned up to make it more accessible to the public and get rid of that Japanese knotweed. So, Deborah, we thank you. CPC, we thank you. Jeff Stone, I thank you. But we're on the way. This is all good news. Today is a good meeting. Thanks.
No camera up there.
I want to say, Roy Chambers is on the Zoom, and I'm so thrilled to see you. Roy, everyone knows as the sports photographer in town, but he created this unbelievable website of Pine Tree Brook. And I stumbled upon it when I was writing the proposal. And so, Roy, if you just want to very briefly, we have 15 minutes left, but if we can continue till noon if people want to stay, but really want to make sure we get everyone. So briefly, Roy, if you could just say hi to everybody. And it's a little better for sound if we go like this. Okay.
Yeah, my name is Roy Chambers. I became involved with the Pine Tree Brook back in the late 90s when I met Dick Russell. We've maintained a website since that time, just about up to presently, which I maintain the website right now. Most of my involvement has just been the making sure the brook is wide open, clean, and that any obstructions are removed so that the brook can flow through the neighborhoods as it's supposed to. I've walked the brook from Hillside at the beginning, right at Hillside Pond, all the way to Neponset. So I'm very familiar with the brook, and I'm glad to see that the Pine Tree Brook Neighborhood Association is alive and well. So I'm glad
Thank you, Roy. I'm so happy that you're here with us. Okay.
Does anybody?
Oh, Tara's a neighbor. Do you want to say something? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Sure. I guess I'll say I'm super excited about this project. I'm really excited to learn about it. Some member of my household is on the path, the space that we're talking about every single day. So we moved into the neighborhood with buying our first home. We're not abutting the brook. We're about a block off on Audubon and Parkway Crescent on the corner there. But we bought in Pine Tree Brook in large part because of the path and because of the brook and that access that it was going to afford the family. And we've really enjoyed it. I'll say my sister's an ornithologist, so the first thing that we noticed was like a nesting oriole pair, and we have nesting woodpeckers in that wetland. And then I think once I started to learn more about the local botany, realized how many invasives there are. Beyond the knotweed, there's barberry, there's a lot of English ivy in there, and others too. But I think the exciting thing is that as people have talked about, that the natives come back. And so like just this spring during the brook cleanup, I remember seeing like the most beautiful Jack in the Pulpit plant that was coming up in the wetland on the edge of the wetland. So they're there underneath it all, and I'm so excited to learn from this. And I think other than just the other point I will make is the point that was already made in talking to other neighbors about this. I think it's twofold. It's both being good stewards of the ecology in the area, but also people are really concerned about the climate change aspects of it and how the new school might impact the brook's ability to manage stormwater with our climate change big rain events. So I know that that's another part that the homeowners are concerned about.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna swap to the audience and Kim, come back to you if you want to share, because Kim serves on the Climate Resiliency Committee, right? Or not?
No.
Oh, never mind.
No other members here. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Okay,
Kim.
Yeah.
Sorry. Hi,
Yeah.
Kim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you said Ken. I didn't see her.
Sorry. I am going to Fred. I hate to put you on the spot. You're welcome to hold off and go a little later, but Fred sits on the Shade Tree Committee in town still. Is that true?
Yes,
Okay, so if you want to just say something.
we're an advisory committee to the select board. Our main job is to try to restore the lots of street trees, which has been very bad. And we also deal with park trees where we can. I think, so we don't, thinking of this as a natural area, we wouldn't have any role to play, but I think there would be, to my mind, a question of how much we want to turn this into a park type area versus just some sort of natural area. And I've been advocating, and Tom brought this up too, if you could grow an array of trees down that brook and shade everything out, you'd maybe keep the knotweed at least shorter, because it gets shorter and shorter as you get into heavier woods. And I don't know whether you walk the area with the porcelain berry now. is unbelievable. And if you go to Pope's Pond, it's like a carpet everywhere, and I can't believe that isn't gonna come down to this part of the brook as well. So that's next year's invasive.
Say it again, which one?
Porcelain.
What?
Porcelain?
Porcelain berry. It's a vine. It's related to grape. It is a grape type of vine, yeah. And it's coating the trees all the way up. It's very, I can't believe those trees are gonna survive. If you look along the west end of Brookfield, it's just a carpet. Anyway, that's all I.
Thank you. Amazing, thank you. Someone else. Kim, maybe we'll pop back. Kim, did you want to say anything or no? You don't have to.
Hi, just that I'm a neighbor. I'm really into very interested in ecological restoration, and the path is such a mess. I'd love to see more native plants there. So, and thanks for organizing all of this.
Kim Johnson. Yes,
Jeff.
Oh, yes, Jeff Stone.
Yeah.
And Pete, you
Okay,
can go next.
camera there. Hello, everybody. First of all, congratulations to Deborah and members of the Pine Tree Brook Neighborhood Association for making this project go. And it's terrific. And congratulations and thank you to the Community Preservation Committee for also making this go through financing the necessary grants. And the Conservation Commission for support of this and involvement in this. So what I see here is complementary projects that are working together that are going to all help each other to preserve and protect Pine Tree Brook, its uses, and its improvement for the residents of Milton. And so I have been the advocate for the Milton Brook Walk, which capitalizes on the areas of the brook where people already walk to create an identified 3-mile walking path, multi-use path, originating probably at Hewland Skating Rink, but maybe further upstream, all the way to the Neponset River. And that's approximately 3 miles. And this idea has been inspired by other towns that have miles and miles of identified trails and mapping. And it has 4 purposes, really, the Milton Brook Walk. It's recreational, it's educational, because part of it would be to install signage indicating the seasonal flora and fauna that are including the Japanese knotweed, unfortunately, and history, perhaps of native peoples and other history along the brook. Public health, because part of the signage would be mileage markers, maybe every quarter of a mile along the 3-mile path, to give people an indication and an incentive to walk further. And as we know, physical activity is one of the prime ways to prevent chronic disease, along with diet and other measures. So this would enable people to walk further. And finally, transportation. It's an opportunity for people to walk from the Blue Hills all the way to the Neponset River and beyond, connecting DCR properties, the Blue Hills, as well as the Neponset Greenway Path. And DCR likes this concept, by the way, because it does connect with 2 of their properties. So I hope to have a meeting something like this in the near future. We have received, as I mentioned, alluded to, a grant for a feasibility study, which I really need to get online and create a website soon. Feasibility study was done by VHB, a well-known firm that does, how to describe VHB, planning and
design engineering.
Yeah. And so that study was done. It does indicate really good opportunities to further this concept. And been talking with John Kiernan and encouraged by the conservation not conservation, the CPC to combine efforts in like phase one of the Milton Brook Walk, to combine efforts focusing on the Pope's Pond segment. So that's where we would work with Pine Tree Brook neighbors as well, because that's very close by. The area that you're most working on, and the knotweed is unfortunately, upstream and downstream. I live a couple of blocks above Pope's Pond, so I'm very close to the brook, which is Pope's Pond is part of the brook, as was mentioned earlier. So very soon, I hope to have a meeting by Zoom and in person of dozens of people have already indicated their support for the Milton Brook Walk concept. So I'll stop there and just say I'm really grateful to be here, grateful that this energizes me, and I think we're all energizing each other to do some great work around Pine Tree Brook.
Thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate that you're here and the work you're doing. It's very cool how it's all connected. Pete Jackson.
I'm Pete Jackson. I sit on the CPC. I endorse all of this and love what people are talking about. The one thing I want to remind people of, the CPC is not able to fund pure open space ecological projects unless it's land that CPC purchased. So the hook for this project was recreational. And it's an important part to us that this plan look at enhancing the recreational components of this area, and both how it connects with others, but access from the neighborhoods, opening access, controlling access, additional recreational opportunities that might be out there. So the ecological is very important, but the recreational aspect is a very important part of this project from the community preservation point of view. I just don't want to lose sight of that.
Thank you. I appreciate you pointing that out. Anyone who's next? Susan.
Well, I'm a 20-year resident of the neighborhood and a 10-year consumer of FEMA flood insurance ever since the big rain that flooded everybody's basement but ours, including the people across the street. And it was very interesting to hear the history and because I had understood about the berm having reduced the flooding since the 50s, but I didn't realize that section of the brook was essentially man-made and manufactured, and that's why our neighborhood is so flood prone. So sitting here today, I mean, my interest is primarily recreational as a walker and a nearby resident, and hearing the idea of the tree LA or all of that, I'm really excited about the possibility of really thinking broadly between the idea of the ecological restoration to maybe some sort of realizing that it is not a completely natural space to the extent that I thought it was, and thinking about, what makes it viable, usable. And also, I know also from door knocking, the other side of the brook, I live on the Warren Ave side, the other side is extremely worried about water table issues, that Wendell Park area that comes down from the new development that's up at the top of their hill. They experience a lot of basement flooding. So the whole aspect for these neighborhoods of water table and flooding and all of that is a big concern, and one of mine also to be thinking about. So anyway, this is really exciting. I came to learn, and now I'm like thinking of all kinds of amazing things that could happen.
Thank you, Susan. I really appreciate it. Kim or Amy, or I can't remember.
I'm just happy to introduce myself, Kim Carlosi. I'm Deborah's neighbor, a couple of doors down, and a frequent user of the pathway along Pine Tree Brook, as well as my son, who every day has gone fishing at Pope Pond. Like every single day he's out there, he walks down Brook.
I think I saw him with his friend.
Yes, I'm sure you did.
Oh my God, I see him with his friend in the brook.
They're walking the brook. They
Fishing
literally,
into Milton.
they're like, he has his own little fishing run, and so and like Deborah said, to me, it's like, I work from home, I work all the time. It's like an area of respite for me, and of peace and tranquility, and of recent, I feel like I'm walking through a jungle.
Yeah.
I'm like, I will, and I said earlier, like, I will love to come down with like a machete and just like.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
I promise I won't do that. I promise I won't. I just want that peaceful space back for everyone, myself, everyone else.
I'm so grateful you're here.
Yeah, I'm happy to help.
Yes. Do you or Amy?
I'm a member of Sustainable Milton.
Okay, say your name again, I apologize.
Pardon?
Your name, say your name.
Jean Bronk.
So, yeah, thank you, Jean.
I'm Amy, I'm a neighbor on the other side of the brook who's just interested in learning more.
Wow, does anyone want to add anything who's already sort of spoken or?
This is a great start.
Yeah.
Thank you, Deborah.
Yes, Fred.
Yeah, what are the next steps?
Next steps, yeah.
Okay, great. Forgot to say that. So the grant is for a year, right? It kicked off July 1 and ends June 30th, right?
Technically, you have multiple years to spend,
Oh.
this.
Okay,
It's
good.
your Cassidy's dream, but don't.
You should not have told her that.
Want me to say the consultants?
Yes, yes.
Yesterday.
It started on July 1st, so you're eligible to receive the grant anytime.
We estimate that the discovery period, initial conversations, stakeholder conversations is a 3 to 4 month, up to 6 month period. But then we'll, between that 6 to 9 month period is where we'll start having a vision plan in place and start really bringing forth some of the stuff. I mean, we'll be in contact with Deborah, as the project continues, but yeah, that's the schedule.
And can I just jump in case Deborah doesn't say it? We need people to help. We need people to help. Deborah is wonderful and amazing, but she's wonderful and amazing and trying to do a million things at once. So if you have time, please make sure you sign up for the committee and don't be shy about jumping in and taking something on because it's really going to take a group effort.
Oh my God, thank you. So there is a sign up. You can either email me or tell me right now. I'll write your name down. The sign up is back there. Hopefully people checked off if they're interested. Or you can also, if you want to scan, there's a survey, just to sign up as well. So yes, Alex.
What kind of opportunities to help tangibly do you anticipate?
So no idea, but part of this is a community needs assessment in a way, which is sort of my wheelhouse. And so part of what we're going to do is convene neighbors and key stakeholders and talk about, and Josh is going to gather the data. But as Margaret said, pulling together a meeting, I'll need help, right? Telling people, spreading the word. Maybe there's key stakeholders that I'm forgetting about that I haven't notified yet. So getting help, like doing that community organizing piece of it. And also we have to feed Josh information. So NEPRA has a lot of important, all of you have really important data. Tom just said a bunch of stuff. So, Kim is a neighbor and has information about, the birds that are down there, which I love that. So anyway, that's sort of, and I'm sure Josh, if you want to add anything.
No, I think that the tangible helping is, in some ways, it's also helping organize some of the information.
Is there going to be a walk where neighbors can walk with you, for example, just to point out issues like where the water floods across the path during storms?
Oh, right.
Yeah, we'll probably, we'll likely have I'll probably go out there today and take a quick walk to just orient, but we'll probably be back sometime in the next 3 to 6 weeks most. To walk the site, and I think maybe that could be a good opportunity. We like to be able to walk it, just me and a couple of ecologists, just looking and taking it in ourselves. But we could maybe carve out a period either at the start or at the end to sort of get some some things that we missed or whatever or we might want to look for. Switch sides.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, good idea.
Oh my God, you guys, it is 11:47. We did it. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate all of you. It really takes a village.
Thank you, everybody on Zoom.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.